one of the major conditions that women in our country have is thyroid. Why? Because the thyroid gland, it's here, right? And this is the communication point. And when this point is suppressed, that's where you end up generating, creating, manifesting thyroid for yourself. This is suppression. And this comes under the psychosomatic diseases. More than 90% of the diseases, they are psychosomatic. And one of the core factors is inflammation. And one of the core factors for inflammation is stress.
Meet Alok, the visionary redefining wellness one mindful step at a time. Alok is a mindfulness coach who is making holistic living accessible to all.
There's another such condition, which is the narcissist behavior. Because they tend to always put it on other people, right?
Narcissists are not happy from within. They are sad. They have no guilt, they have no shame, they have no regret. Despite of they doing all the worst things in their life, they feel it's normal. There is a distinct change in the structure of their brain, how their brain functions and how they connect with the world. It's completely different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of studies, Priyanka, which says that you cannot reverse a narcissistic brain.
Even with counseling and therapy?
Even with counseling. And in fact, they will end up counseling the counselor.
How do you classify somebody as being a narcissist?
That most of the narcissists are...
When was the last time you paused and really asked yourself, how am I really? Not as a parent, not as a partner, not as a professional, but just as you. Parenting is magical, but let's be honest, it's also messy, loud, and emotionally exhausting. Somewhere between the tantrums and to-do lists, we often lose connection with the calm, grounded version of ourselves. आज का episode is for every parent who's ever felt lost in the noise, disconnected from their own calm, और जिसे एक reminder चाहिए कि peace is an inside job. And to guide us through this, हमें join कर रहे हैं एक ऐसे expert जो सिर्फ mindfulness सिखाते ही नहीं हैं, बल्कि उसे जीते हैं. Our guest today is Alok, a leading mindfulness and mindset coach, corporate trainer, speaker, and the founder of one of India's largest mindfulness community. He's helped thousands of people, parents, professionals, leaders find clarity, calm, and purpose through mindfulness. Hi, Alok. Welcome to Maatehood. Such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Priyanka. I'm glad. Yes.
I'm really curious to know what is your background and what made you start creating content around mindfulness and mental health.
Awesome. Priyanka, the thing is, when it comes to content creation, that's just a part of the coaching journey that I'm into.
Absolutely.
I say this that I'm a coach by accident. I had no idea that I would ever get into this field because I do label myself as an introvert. And there were no such plans. But just to give you a glimpse of how did it all start. I was not a good student, first of all, not good at studies. But because, we have a business background when my father is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, you know how the Indian culture is, right? Ultimately, sab aapko hi sambhalna hai. Ultimately, you are the one.
Yes.
So that's where this was there back of my mind. And that's where I chose management as my post-graduation, my post-graduation.
Yeah.
I did my Bachelor's of Management Studies and then did my MBA in marketing. That's how it started. And very conventional dreams, get into a job, do something for yourself and then take some experience, get into the business. I got into sales, Priyanka. And you know how sales is, right? So you're always on fire.
Yes.
There are targets to achieve. There are some crazy bosses to answer to, some crazy clients. And that's how the journey began.
Yeah.
Felt the pressure, experienced stress, showing up, answering. So that really impacted me a lot. But what I'm really grateful to is my mindfulness and meditation practices that were a part of my routine right from my childhood. So I'm really thankful to the household. I'm thankful to my parents, thankful to the spiritual guides who taught me certain things, which became a part of my routine, just like brushing every single day. Back then, I didn't realize why is this important? Why should we be doing it? But when the going gets tough, you get to know that yes, there are certain things which are really impacting and helping you to navigate through crisis.
Sure.
That's where I realized, Priyanka, that if these things are helping me, this can help my colleagues as well. This can help other working professionals as well. So the entire journey was not intentional, but it just got a direction.
Yeah.
So that's how it started from the corporates, helping the working professionals. But then the vision kept on broadening.
Yeah.
It has been more than a decade now.
Amazing.
And we are impacting more and more lives. And content
That's so
creation is just a
beautiful.
part of this journey.
Absolutely. That's part of creating awareness and
Yes.
so much needed. And thankfully, we have this platform now.
Yes.
So it has become much easier to reach out to the wider audience.
Yeah.
So Alok, if we talk about mindfulness, पिछले कुछ सालों में बहुत popular word हो गया है.
Yeah.
But very few people understand the true meaning of it. So what is mindfulness in its true essence?
True. The thing is, I think after COVID, there was a spike when it comes to reflection, introspection, mental health, because we all realized that it's not just the materialistic acquisitions and the gatherings that's important, but your inner well-being is very much important.
Yeah.
So COVID gave us that pause button that helped us to shift our focus from the outside to the inside.
Yeah.
So when we talk about mindfulness, in simple words, layman तरीके से अगर इसको हम समझे, it is a practice of anchoring your mind in the present. That's it. That's it. You can use your breath as an anchor to be here in the present. You can just close your eyes and try to hear the sounds that are there in this very moment. You can use those sounds as an anchor to be here in the present. It can be, sipping a cup of coffee or tea, and that taste, that smell is an anchor to be here in the present. Now, the question is, why is this important?
True.
Priyanka, the thing is, there are a lot of research studies which says that for more than 64% of the times, our mind is wandering in the past and the future.
Totally.
There's this beautiful Harvard study. The name of the study is, a wandering mind is an unpleasant mind. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So every time you bring your mind back in the present, you are able to instill and install that calmness. Because, ये होता है हमारे साथ. या तो हम हमारे पास से लड़ रहे होते हैं. Why did this happen? The guilt and the regrets. Why did I say this? I shouldn't have behaved like this. Or we keep on cribbing about why my life is like this,
Yeah.
मैंने शायद ये decision ले लिया होता तो आज मेरा present कुछ और होता.
True.
If we are not fighting with the past, we are fighting with the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? That's where the anxiety, the uncertainty, the fears and the worries of the future, they just ruin our happiness. And that's where we say that, if you really want to be peaceful, if you really want to unbox that, the gift of calm, then be here in the moment.
Yeah.
Because the present is free from all the tensions and stress and all the worries and the nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? So mindfulness is the process to be here in the present. That's the simplest way to understand it. Yeah.
How hard it is to practice mindfulness?
It's difficult. It is difficult because, theoretically, this might sound amazing.
Yes.
And I think everyone would like to be in that moment to experience that calm. But the reason I said it's difficult is because you are working against the very core nature of the mind.
Yeah.
The very core nature of the mind is to wander. It is to be at different places.
Absolutely.
And then you are training your mind to be here. So it's difficult. And it is, it tests your patience as well. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people, I've seen this in my coaching practice also. A lot of people, they have a lot of desire that I want to meditate.
True.
Alok, I want to meditate. मुझे सीखना है.
Yeah.
कहाँ से मैं शुरू करूँ? You also tell them, you teach them, you give them the blueprint. Do this, do this, do this, do this. After 1 week, you ask them, how is your practice going? Oh, I'm not regular with that.
Yeah.
Why? Because what happens is when they close their eyes, when they sit, the mind starts wandering. And that's where they think that instead of this, I could have done something else.
True.
So coming back to your question, it is difficult, but it is possible.
Being a mother of 2 children, I recognize it, that my mind is always everywhere because, their school homework, kids have their activities lined up, husband who's always on the move, he has his own things going on, parents are getting old, families are demanding. It becomes sometimes very difficult, to be in one place. And I recognize it, that there's something not right. I have to be really, I have to really calm down. I have to take it easy. I have to focus on my own well-being as well. So For a mother who's working, who's dealing with so many things in the family and workplace, how can they actually achieve this? To be completely mindful and be in a moment?
I think today, if you see, we all are juggling with a lot of things, especially when we look at working mothers.
Yeah.
You know, responsibility in the house, responsibility in the family, extended family, in-laws, बच्चे, ये वगैरह वगैरह.
बिल्कुल.
So when you're working on one thing, then there are other open loops which really take up a lot of your mental and emotional space.
Yes.
I think one step at a time, this can really help you in terms of anchoring yourself and not be all over the place. So planning is an important part of being mindful.
True.
Because if you don't give a direction to your mind, then your mind escapes. Then your mind goes places. So I think as a mother, as a busy mother, I would say, number one is planning your day in advance.
Yes.
Can really give you a perspective of what I need to focus on.
Yeah.
Number two is self-care. I think self-care is very important. Today, via this podcast, I would like to tell all our viewers that self-care is not a luxury. Self-care is hygiene. The way we brush our teeth every single day, you need to brush your mind also.
Yeah.
So if we think that, no, dental health is important, mental health is also important. And, unfortunately, when we look at our country, when we look at the women in our country, the conditioning is so deep-rooted that you put your well-being on the last seat. पहले अपने बच्चों का देखो, अपने पेरेंट्स का देखो, अपने पति का देखो, उनकी फैमिली का देखो.
100%.
अच्छा, what about you? हाँ, वो बाद में देखेंगे.
As you rightly said, it's a conditioning, and we women just so easily accept it.
Exactly. And when it comes to speaking out, when it comes to being vocal about it, we are not allowed to.
Indeed.
As a child, and there's a lot of discrimination that happens even today. We say that we are living in a modern India. Shoulder to shoulder, we are walking together. But no, that's not the fact.
Yeah.
Even if you go at the grassroots level, and not just tier 2, tier 3, we are talking about tier 1. Even there's a lot of discrimination that happens between a boy child and a girl child. Yeah. So right from that level, when a girl is seeing that, okay, this is what my duty is, and this is what my brother's duty is, so that's where the acceptance happens from that level itself.
True.
So then when there are pressures, then when she's asked to do certain things out of her comfort zone, she doesn't feel bad about it because somewhere she has accepted, ये तो मुझे करना ही है,
And if I don't do it, who would?
Exactly. So I'm the savior.
Of the family. Yeah.
Exactly. The savior syndrome, because ultimately I have to do it. And if you end up not doing it, then there's a lot of guilt and regret as well. That I'm not a good daughter. I'm not a good wife.
Yes.
I'm not a good mother. That's not your fault. But still you own that fault.
You're also made to feel that.
You also made to feel that.
Yeah.
Very right. Very right. So I think self-care.
Yeah.
Self-care is important. And I would say that self-care would require all the working mothers, including you, Priyanka, to focus on these 5 elements, I would say.
Okay.
Number 1 is your physical fitness and physical wellness. Because, our body and mind are the 2 sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
You cannot isolate and say that I'll only meditate, I'll not work on my body. Right?
Yeah.
So physical fitness, especially we are talking about some kind of weight training.
Yeah.
No need to go in any heavy weight training, but some weight training that will help your muscles to get strengthened, and some kind of aerobics wherein you stretch and sweat. Okay, that's very important. That keeps your brain active and alert.
Bilkul.
The second aspect I would say is rejuvenation or revival. And this is where I ask people to do something that they love. Something that will bring a smile on your face. It doesn't have to be intellectual. It has to be something silly.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if someone else is not able to find value in what you're doing, doesn't matter. If you think this is good for me, just do it. Like, it can be gardening. It can be listening to songs. It can be playing with your pet. It can be just spending time with your children. Whatever. It can be cooking for that matter. It can be anything. It can be drawing, painting, craft, anything that you like doing. That will bring a smile on your face, or a hobby for that matter. The third thing is intellectual. And I think intellectual is wherein you keep on learning. you keep on expanding your intellectual horizon.
Yes.
It can be documentaries, it can be learning something from your genre that you like,
Or the
something
books.
that keeps your brain engaged and active, right? I remember, someone asked Bill Gates, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
You have everything in the world. What are you afraid of? And I loved his answer. He said that I'm afraid of, my brain not working at the same capacity that it is working right now. So I don't want to lose the capacity of my brain. And I think an active brain is a young brain.
Yeah.
So all the working mothers, because, there's this, they have a reason. Time नहीं है. है ना? मैं इतना busy हूँ, मेरे पास time नहीं है. Time आपको ढूंढना होगा. Time आपको निकालना होगा. आप कितने भी busy हो, you be selfish there. And selfish is not a wrong thing. Being selfish is not a wrong thing. Being selfish means that I am my priority.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where you need to say that this is my time and please don't disturb me.
Yes.
Okay, whatever it is. The fourth factor I would say is your mental well-being. Mental well-being is wherein you can do journaling, you can meditate, whatever just gives you that inner peace.
Well,
Mindfulness, just do
Yeah.
that. And the last thing I would say is emotional. And emotional is wherein
most important.
most important, and I cannot stress enough on this, practice gratitude.
Yeah.
There are a lot of research studies on gratitude. Gratitude literally changes the wiring and the structure of the brain. It is called as the mother of all the emotions, because when you practice gratitude, you're actually conditioning your focus.
Yes.
Human focus is an asset.
Yeah.
When you focus on the good, you feel good. When you focus on the bad, you feel bad. And especially when you're practicing gratitude, you're focusing on your blessings.
Yeah.
So every day, it's your mental training.
Yeah. The emotional health bit of it, I totally relate with that, because that is where ultimately you feel burnt out, after doing
Yes.
everything, and you're like, I had enough. And this constant juggling of being the perfect mom, the wife, the daughter-in-law, the daughter, perfect boss at work. And that sometimes really makes you feel like, I cannot do it. I had enough. And that's like too much on your mind, and especially on your emotions.
Yeah.
And at the same time, fortunately, unfortunately, we are in a country where women are constantly suppressed when it comes to their feelings and emotions, things they wish to do, they desire. Practicing these things has become very difficult for them. I know times are changing,
Yeah.
but there's still majority of families where women are just simply loaded with responsibilities,
Yes.
and they're constantly pushed back that your things are last.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation with this Ayurveda expert last week, and we were talking about how when your emotions are suppressed and you're not able to express enough, it comes through different kinds of diseases in your body.
Of course it does. Yeah.
And you tend to have autoimmune diseases if you have too much stress levels constantly. And in fact, if you're not able to express your feelings and emotions, you might have elevated thyroid levels.
Yeah.
So all these things which we do not understand, and we think ki haan ye to chalta hai,
Yeah.
it's okay, theek ho jayega, and it eventually comes out on your body and mind.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It's just so sad to see that. And how do you think that as a family together, you said your parents really helped you and
Yeah.
encouraged you to practice mindfulness, and that makes such a healthy environment in the family, in the
Of
household.
course it does. It does.
How you think that nurtured your childhood and helped you to grow up as an individual who's very satisfied, content, and happy, and at the same time confident?
That's a good question. In fact, I would like to start from, how the emotions, they manifest into diseases.
Yeah.
That's a very important point that you brought in. And I think, Priyanka, today, we need to educate people on this, especially women in our
Yes.
country. There's a statistics, you spoke about thyroid as well. One of the major conditions that women in our country have is thyroid. Why? Because the thyroid gland, it's here,
Yeah.
right? And this is the communication point. And when this point is suppressed, that's where you end up creating, manifesting thyroid. for yourself.
Yes.
This is suppression.
Yeah.
And this comes under the psychosomatic diseases. So psychosomatic is wherein we talk about these two terms, psycho and soma. So psycho is psychology. It comes from psychology, the study of the mind. And soma is somatic, the study of the body, right? So psychosomatic is the mind-body connection. So how suppressing your emotions, your thoughts, your expressions, they then lead to some of the other psychosomatic diseases. And today, Priyanka, doctors, they say that more than 90% of the diseases, they are psychosomatic. And one of the core factors is inflammation in your body, you know. And one of the core factors for inflammation is stress.
Yes.
So everything is so very connected.
Yes.
But still, after knowing all of this, we are still, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And somewhere, Priyanka, I think physical health is taken more seriously, right? When it comes to taking a meditation class membership compared to a gym membership, people will go for gym membership, not meditation. And my reflection says that this is because the physical transformation is visible.
Yeah.
When your friends, when your families, they see you, "Arey yaar, patli ho gayi hai kya? You have lost weight, you know.
Yes.
You are, look at your color, all this and stuff." So we are spending more on something which is tangible.
True.
And we are not spending on something that is intangible.
But deep-rooted.
Yes. I feel that physical health makes you look good. Mental health makes you live good. So I would say that looking good and living good, both are important. You cannot say that this is not important. This is. So coming back to your question on how does the family dynamics help? It helps big time.
Yes.
Because Priyanka, I think our environment is one of the core factors that shapes our personality, our environment. Because our environment, it defines our emotion. Our emotions define our actions, and our actions define our results, right? So for example, let's say we consider two people, A and B. So A is the one who has a lot of inspirations, who has a lot of aspirations, who has a lot of goals. मुझे ये करना है, मुझे ये भी करना है. I have to achieve so much. Okay?
Yes.
And this person A is far-sighted. The way you spoke about Rio, your kid. So he always starts, connecting the dots, and he goes beyond the intention and where is it coming from, where is this conversation going. So let's say A is someone who is far-sighted. Okay?
Yes.
Has a lot of aspirations and a lot of goals, but doesn't have a supportive environment.
Yes.
So every time he comes with an idea or a need or a desire, everyone would like to negate it. Everyone like to just pull him down or sow the seeds of doubt. ये नहीं होगा यार, ये जाने दो, ये तुमसे नहीं होगा. This is not the right thing. You'll have incur losses.
Yeah.
Do you think that the chances of him succeeding are more? No, because internally वो कहते हैं ना, अंदर से वो टूट जाएगा.
बिल्कुल.
कि ये क्या है यार?
हाँ.
हमेशा मैं कुछ करने की, and I don't get the support. So this person will become internally negative and bitter. Bitter towards people, bitter towards the environment, bitter towards himself or herself over a period of time.
बिल्कुल.
This is how the environment is conditioning you.
Yes.
Now let's say the person B has some idea and everyone would give the positives of that idea. ये तो तुम्हें करना चाहिए. Look at this, look at that. There are evidences. ये होता है. You will be successful because we believe in you.
Yes.
And in fact, not just that, they will also give you options. If you really want to do this, ये better होगा इससे. So the chances of this person of becoming successful is high.
Yeah.
So I think, especially when we talk about women, the first support has to be the husband.
Yes.
Because the husband is the one with whom she spends a lot of her time.
Yes.
Discussing, introspecting, and I would say...
And she looks up to.
She looks up to.
Yeah.
I would say husband and wife are the ones who are mentally and emotionally naked in front of each other because they know the flaws. They know, maybe as a husband, the man would be so strong externally, would have a facade which keep the best step forward. But in the house, he's vulnerable. The same is the case with the woman. In the house, she's vulnerable. So I think if that support both gets, it's fantastic. And then the family, because many times, Priyanka, it happens when I'm talking to my mentees as well. There are a lot of toxic marriages that people are in, right?
Indeed.
And then when it comes to taking a stand, saying that it has been 5 years, it has been 7 years, Alok, I cannot take this anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So we go through a checklist. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you built your boundaries? Have you been vocal about it? मैंने सब कुछ कर लिया Alok.
Yeah.
सब कुछ कर लिया. अच्छा, ठीक है. Then what is stopping you? So like I spoke to my parents and they said that, no, this is not the option. Okay? ये तो गलत हो जाएगा. So now just think about it, Priyanka. If this person is not getting support from her own parents,
Exactly.
तो फिर whom would she look up to? That is the start point of depression.
Yes.
That is when your mind gets into intrusive thoughts. That is where you start looking out for other options like ending my life.
Yeah.
So all this happens. So I think family support is the must. Is very important.
Long-term diseases
Yes.
and issues she's going to face. When should you actually accept that you are in a toxic relationship? What are the signs and symptoms that this is actually
Awesome.
not going
Awesome.
well?
Yeah. See, first of all, Priyanka, I would say, how do you identify it's a toxic relationship?
Yes.
Okay? Because it all starts with identification. I would say being aware of those signs and symptoms. What is making me uncomfortable?
Yes.
This simple test, I would say, is how do you feel in that person's presence?
Yeah.
You know, if you just zoom out for a moment and think from your energy level,
Yeah.
think from your emotional level, do I feel expanded and free when I'm with that person? Or do I feel contracted and do I feel suppressed?
Yeah.
Do I have to think twice before saying something? Or I can just blurt out anything that comes in my mouth?
Yeah.
Okay. That shows the freedom that you have in that person's presence.
Are you flourishing or you're
Exactly.
actually shutting down?
Exactly. Are you shrinking or
Yeah.
are you expanding?
Yeah.
Now, what makes you uncomfortable? So there are, our body is always giving us some signs, whether it is comfortable or not. For example, it can be palpitations, it can be your heart beating faster, it can be sweat, it can be migraine, some kind of headache, it can be, your body temperature.
Yeah.
Your body temperature rises if you're not comfortable, right? Dry mouth, and all that stuff happens. So if you are able to catch these signs, then you will be able to identify that every time I have to spend time with him or her, every time I get to know that now he's coming or she's calling, whatever it is, are you feeling that discomfort? Okay. So identifying the signs.
Yes.
Number 2 is identifying the patterns.
Yes.
That every time I have to say this, I just get a negative response. Every time I talk about my own plans, I'm just, he just shuts me off or she just shuts me off. There is no support. So the patterns, these patterns are always repeating. This is how you identify whether it's a toxic relationship or not. What are you doing about it? That's the question. Are you just playing a victim card? You just end up saying that mere haath mein to kuch nahi. You end up being a doormat. Or did you take some productive action? So what productive action, Alok, are you talking about? Number 1 is, have you ever confronted to this person that this makes me uncomfortable?
Yeah.
I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
I cannot have this kind of conversation over and over again because this really disturbs my mental and emotional health.
Yeah.
Did you do that? No, not really. Okay?
Yeah. Because confronting is also uncomfortable.
It is
and
uncomfortable.
sometimes scary.
Exactly, because your mind thinks about the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
That this might lead to more unpleasant scenarios. Then my children are also involved in it.
Indeed.
Then वो जो घर का माहौल है वो इतना खराब हो जाएगा. मेरा मन नहीं लगेगा तो उससे अच्छा चलो उसको अंदर ही रखो. But अंदर रखना is suppression.
हाँ.
अंदर रखना is torturing yourself.
Yeah.
And over a period of time आप अंदर रखोगे, so you have a lot of other problems, right? When do we say that it's enough? When do we say that it's enough? I think make a checklist.
Yes.
Make a checklist of everything that you can do in that relationship. Okay. See, because many times we also have to see that what have we tried,
Yes.
right? Because you cannot just turn a blind eye saying that मैं तो सही हूँ, problem तो इस इंसान में ही है. You know? So what have you done?
Yeah.
What changes have you brought in yourself? If you think that, okay, मैंने ये भी कर लिया, ये भी कर लिया, ये भी कर लिया, still there is no change. This person is not ready to change, not ready to accept, not ready to acknowledge what
Yeah.
I'm going through. Then I think there is a time to start distancing yourself. This would be phase number 2.
Which naturally happens.
Which naturally happens because you don't feel like connecting.
Yeah.
Right? So try to minimize your conversation. Try to distance yourself. Try to be upfront whenever you see those red flags. Even after this, you feel that nothing is working. I'm just wasting time. And I'm over a period of time becoming a bitter person. Somewhere you'll have to pull the plug.
True. As a mother, if it is a woman who's going through this, your children are involved. And if you're in a toxic relationship, kids are involved, then you tend to think ki, chalo theek hai, I have to take it in. I will take it in. At least my kids are not affected.
Yeah.
But is that really true?
If you say that I'll take it in and that will help my children not get affected, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Because if you are taking it in, it is impacting your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual levels. Right?
Yes.
Your energy is suppressed.
Yes.
Now, just think about it. Ask yourself, Priyanka, what kind of conversation you have with your kids when you're happy? What kind of conversations you have with your kids when you are sad?
Yes.
Right? Your expressions, your micro expressions, your energy. Children are smart enough to dissect that, grab that, understand that. They would say that, Mama, what's wrong? They'll come and ask you, you're not happy today.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, how did he know? How did she know?
Yeah.
They are smart. Okay. So energy rubs off. Energy is contagious.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be in the best shape in order to provide that safe space to your children. And children, they learn a lot through observation.
True.
So today, for example, let's say you're a mother having a girl child and she is seeing you, she's getting inspired by you every single day. Now, if you choose not to speak up, this is what you're teaching.
Yes.
This is what you're teaching to your child. When you grow up, when you get married, and when you face this, you should not speak.
Breaking out of a toxic relationship is very difficult.
Yeah.
But there's always a point when you feel this is it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might think that my kids are involved. It's okay. I can go through it. It's still better than raising them without a father, without a mother.
Yeah.
Is that the right thinking? What is ideal to do for a person who's tried everything, still things are not working out, and it's a decision to make? Should I walk out? Or should I at least go with it? At least my kids have both the parents.
The thing is, it is a kind of a conditioning, Priyanka, wherein this takes me back to a conversation that I was having with my one of my mentees a couple of days back. And we spoke about this option that if you're going through this, have you ever tried pulling the plug?
Yes.
Right? And this lady, she said that I had a deep conversation with my parents. And my parents had to say that if you walk out of this marriage, then there will be no male figure in your life. And when there is no man in your life, how will you survive? And my question to her was that where is this coming from? Why are we operating from such preconceived notions that a woman cannot survive without a man? And why is it that the children, they need both of them in order to be a better individual over a period of time? If a mother is able to be the father and is able to be the mother at the same time, why can't the children, be better over a period of time? They can be. Now the thing is, ask yourself this question. Right now, being in this marriage, is it just that, the children have functional father and mother, or is it that, just from the aesthetic perspective, father bhi hai, mother bhi hai, lekin father functional nahi hai.
Bilkul.
Lekin aesthetically hai. Does that matter, or the functionality matters? Right? So I think we need to question the basis of our belief and our preconceived notions and the conditioning as well. And the more why questions we ask ourselves, I think that will give us a better insight into, and that will also help us break our limiting beliefs.
So when it comes to difficult relationships, your usual response is either fight or flight.
Yeah.
What do you suggest is the right option?
Difficult relationships Of course, the brain will give you these two options, fight or flight, because this comes from the survival mechanism.
Yeah.
The brain is designed and devised and structured in such a way that if the threat is weaker than you want to fight it. If the threat is more aggressive and stronger than you, then you just want to run away from it.
Yes.
So these are the two options that our brain will give us. Ya to lado, ya to bhag jao.
Bilkul.
But this is the time where your intelligence is not in charge. Because fight and flight, it roots from your emotional brain, the survival mechanism. So emotions and intelligence, they never go hand in hand. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. And this is one of the reasons, in stressful situations, we go blank.
Yeah.
Samajh mein nahi aa raha, main kya karu?
Yeah.
The answer will be right in front of you, but still you are like a headless chicken going here and there, right? So I would say neither fight or flight. I would say just give yourself some time.
Yes.
Let your body first relax, because a chaotic body cannot help with a calm mind.
True.
They're the two sides of the same coin. So do some breathing exercises, practices in case you're experiencing some anxiety or stress. Relax, isolate yourself, and try to bring more clarity in terms of what am I going through? What can I do about it? What have I tried? And what could be the best possible way to take this forward?
Yeah.
Can someone's advice or help make this more clearer for me? Whom can I connect to? Because this is wherein you will not take random decisions.
Yes. Yes.
Because, we usually say this, in the heat of the moment, I ended up doing this. In the heat of the moment, मैंने ये बोल दिया. मुझे ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए था. Right? मैंने इसको WhatsApp पे ब्लॉक कर दिया.
Yeah.
या तो मैंने ये लिख दिया.
Today's world.
Yes. So the heat of the moment, don't allow the heat of the moment to ruin your relationships.
Yes.
But sometimes, it's very hard to actually decide if it is the right moment.
Yeah.
For example, a woman in the house is constantly disrespected,
Yeah.
constantly rejected, but at the same time, as we discussed, she's all the time thinking about family first.
Yeah.
And accepting things and saying, maybe this is not the right time. I have to keep it calm. I have to
Yeah.
keep it composed. It's my responsibility. But then you never know when you will fall into the trap of being constantly, at some point, you'll fall under abuse.
Yeah.
It could
So-
be an
so what is
emotional
that
abuse.
line?
What is that thin line where you actually realize that no more. I just cannot accept it anymore.
Yeah. Priyanka, this is wherein lining up some milestones and benchmarks are very important. Okay. It's like, for example, let's say if you are driving from Delhi to Mumbai, okay. If there are no milestones, you will not get to know how much distance I have covered and how much more I have to drive.
Yeah.
So constantly when you keep on getting those milestones, it gives you a lot of clarity. अच्छा चलो इतना 30% cover हो गया, 40% cover हो गया. That gives a lot of satisfaction also. Similarly, when it comes to relationships and toxicity as well, you need to have a timeline, you need to have a milestone that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, pull the plug. Okay. So you directly saying I want to pull the plug, even that's not right.
Yeah.
Because then that might over a period, I have a lot of cases wherein people are guilty. People, they have regret. I shouldn't have done that,
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to one of my mentees and she left her husband because of XYZ reason. After 3 years, she now feels that I did wrong.
Yeah.
I should have given some time. I should have been more empathetic. I should have been more compassionate. It was not his fault. But now what can you do about it? Now you are being so hard on yourself. So I would say that treat this like a business venture. Okay. Wherein you have round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. There are like 4 phases.
Yeah.
And then you will take a final decision.
Yeah.
And also give a timeline. So the first round would be like, say, 3 months. The second round would be like, say, 4 to 5 months, and then 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
In first month or first phase, I'll try this. In the second phase, I'll try this. Third phase, I'll try. After doing all of this, if nothing works, then you're like, okay, now this is the time. And that's where you'll not even feel heavy or guilty or, the decision would be easy.
Yes.
Because now you have done everything. There's nothing left. That's how
I think there's another thing which you should be very mindful of. like you're constantly saying, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Let's stop this. Let's get divorced. Let's get separated. But you're still together. So in a way, you're kind of normalizing saying these things. And the partners, they start feeling like, हाँ, ये तो ऐसे ही बोलती रहती है, ये तो ऐसे ही बोलता रहता है, they'll be fine again.
Yeah.
So you are normalizing saying such things to each other over the period of time.
I think, Priyanka, you are choosing the less difficult. Okay? So basically what happens is, there is pain, there is stress, there is a lot of discomfort. But then when you think of separating, when you think of pulling the plug, when you think of a divorce, that is more painful, right? Because that's where a lot of legalities are involved. That's where involving people is involved. That's where your relationship getting naked is involved. That's where, judgments are involved. That is more painful. So what our brain does is, our brain chooses the less painful. कि ठीक है ना, चलो. चल रहा है ना, चल जाएगा.
Yeah.
Even though you are suffering, you think that चल जाएगा. Why? Because the other option is more painful.
Yeah. Talking about mental health, there are different kind of solutions one resort to without recognizing what they're going through. And without acknowledging and accepting also sometimes. People might turn to alcoholism, drugs, different kinds of things. What are the things that can actually make them really realize that something is really wrong with me? How hard it is for somebody who's going through something at that level, struggling with their mental health, to actually acknowledge and accept it. And if they're not acknowledging and accepting it, is there any possibility that they could be shown the mirror,
Yeah. The thing is, it's very difficult to identify, number one. And it is also difficult to acknowledge it.
Yes.
Because no matter how much we talk about mental health, and there are a lot of conversations and discussions which are going on right now in the country and across the globe.
Yeah.
But still it is a taboo, especially, when we look at our space, this country for that matter. Because कुछ सालों पहले तक तो ऐसा था कि साइकेट्रिस्ट मतलब पागलों का डॉक्टर है ना. अच्छा, साइकेट्रिस्ट के पास जाना है, you have taken a psychiatrist. Why? What's wrong with you? Now, for that matter, if we ask this question, that how often do you visit a dentist?
Yes.
We don't. There are few people who have regular hygiene checkups, but most of them, they will only find a doctor when they're not able to eat.
There's some problem,
Yes, there's some pain. Now it's very difficult. वो हम last moment तक चलाते हैं. जब खाना मुश्किल हो जाए, फिर हाँ चलो कौन सा है डॉक्टर, जाके देख के आते. So I think one of the things that can really help people to identify is self-awareness. And this is where mindfulness comes into picture, wherein they see that there is some uneasiness.
Yes.
These days, I find myself getting into this overthinking loop, or I see myself being sad for a longer period of time. I keep on, just fighting with what has happened in the past. I'm procrastinating a lot. I am spending a lot of time with myself. I feel lonely. Gears have shifted. So identification, is very important. Awareness is the first step, Priyanka.
Yeah.
Awareness is the prerequisite to handling and managing anything in our life. If we talk about finances, you cannot manage your finances. You cannot handle your finances if you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Like in the sense, what are my income? Where's the money going? What are the leakage points?
Yes.
What are the financial instruments which are available? If you're not aware of these facts, how will you manage your money? You'll not be able to. The same is the case with your mental health.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of those signs and symptoms, and if you see, one of the best proven ways how people deal with their mental health is by distraction. And one of the best distraction method is social media.
Yes.
So when you are feeling stressed, when you're feeling anxious, when there's something wrong, you just turn to your phone. थोड़े से reel देख लिए, थोड़ा सा Instagram देख लिया, थोड़ा सा YouTube देख लिया, थोड़ा सा comedy nights with Kapil देख लिया. And for that very moment, it's like a bandage. You're putting a bandage.
Yeah.
But then again, you have to go back to the same muck. Then you start suffering again.
Yes.
So I think number one is identification.
Yes.
Number two is sharing that with someone, some confidant you have, someone whom you can trust.
Yes.
I think everyone needs to have at least one person in front of whom this person can be himself or herself.
Yeah.
Because sharing can open up a lot of doors. You might be taking it for granted. Maybe your friend might say that, did you try this? Or let's, speak to someone. And that's where, taking the right step at the right time can really save you from a lot of chronic problems.
Yeah.
So identification, sharing and having a conversation. And number 3 is educating yourself about that is also important. Now, the reason I spoke about sharing and connecting with an expert, because today there's a lot of data which is available online.
Yeah.
More data is not good data. Because ये भी हो रहा है आजकल बहुत लोगों के साथ. They experience a symptom, they will Google the symptom and they will get more depressed. क्योंकि वो symptom Google करके अच्छा मुझे ये है, oh God मुझे ये है, अच्छा, and just by listening, just by reading to what Google has to say, they get more depressed.
Yeah.
So identifying and then rectifying and seeing what exactly this symptom is about is also very important.
Yeah.
So that's where the experts' help is required.
Yeah.
Connecting with a confidant is important because ultimately we are social beings.
बिल्कुल.
जब भी हम बात करते हैं, जब भी हम शेयर, वो कहते हैं ना कि बात करने से आधा दुख खत्म हो जाता है.
हाँ.
So बात करने से you feel light.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And sometimes the objective perspective can really help you. Because somewhere you are consumed by your own nonsense.
Yeah.
And the other person might say that, यार इतना क्या सोच रहा है, इतना थोड़ी ऐसा थोड़ी.
हाँ.
You don't have to worry, हो जाएगा. And that हो जाएगा,
gives you a lot of clarity.
And courage.
Bilkul. Is falling for alcoholism or drugs or any such habit is always a byproduct of depression, or it could simply be genetic or a habit?
It can be genetic. But more than that, your environment decides, By the same time, it's a very complex science, Priyanka, because human beings with a very strong willpower might end up not consuming it despite of being surrounded with it.
Yes.
Right? Because see, ultimately, then it also boils down to your values.
Yes.
And it also boils down to your self-identity. Self-identity is one of the defining factors in our life. So if you identify yourself as an achiever, if you identify yourself as a person with a lot of integrity, a transparent person, a person who focuses on self-care, no matter what, you will not get into any vices. Why? Because you always want to stay true to your self-identity.
True.
The entire life, our entire life, if you see, is the game wherein we are constantly proving that LHS is equal to RHS, which means that my self-identity is equal to my actions.
Yes.
And this is one of the reasons why we feel mentally and emotionally attacked when someone tells you something that you are not.
Yes.
Okay. For example, let's say if you are really honest with the work that you do, and if someone comes and just, complains that, yaar, ye काम अच्छे से नहीं करती है, ये काम अच्छे से नहीं करता है, ये तो dishonest है, you will just flare up with anger. You will say, how can you say that? You don't even know me. How can you say that?
Yes.
Because that is an attack on your self-identity.
True.
Right? So when it comes to falling prey to alcohol or maybe other vices, this is also one of the factors. But I would say that, yes, when a person is not able to find the right kind of support system, they end up falling prey to this. Because ultimately, our brain is designed and devised to move towards pleasure and to run away from pain. Pain and pleasure are the two levers जिसके बीच में हमारी जिंदगी है.
बिल्कुल.
ठीक है. So, what does alcohol do? Okay, when you consume alcohol, it just puts you in a state of rest.
Yes.
Some kind of rest, mentally, physically, your nerves, your heart, and everything. It just slows down. Your brain slows down. Your brain waves slow down. So just think about it. When you're dealing with a lot of stress, when you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, your brain is overworked.
Yes.
Right? It is thinking about multiple permutations and combinations. ऐसा हुआ तो वैसा हुआ तो फिर ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा. It's like 100% of your brain energy is consumed. Now, when you sip alcohol, when you get into any other liquor for that matter, it just slows you down. Okay, and this is the relief that we want. The question is, why this for relief? You can do something else also for relief.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is like
Easy
an
escape.
easy relief.
Yeah.
You just quickly gulp it, you're there. So I think this is what makes it addictive, because it's easily accessible
Yeah.
and there is not much of effort which is required.
But why men fall for addictions more than women? That's my impression, but I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah. I would not like to generalize that way. There's no such bias, but I think in case if this is a study, I'm not sure. One of the reasons can be women are more emotionally expressive. So when a woman is going through some problem, उनके पास 5-6 स्टैंड बाय पे लोग हैं, इसको फोन कर दिया, उसको फोन कर दिया, कुछ नहीं तो व्हाट्सएप पे आधा घंटा आप लगे रहो, हो जाता है, वहां पे आपकी थेरेपी हो गई. And then you have a lot of cheerleaders. Oh yes, Priyanka, you're right, you did the right thing. And you'll be like, oh yes, you're getting so much of validation. Oh, now I'm back in the game. Okay. Men, सबसे पहले मैं बोलूं या ना बोलूं. Okay. So they keep everything here. Because there's a lot of, see, it all comes from the social pressure. वो जो है ना, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, kind of thing. So how can a man be vulnerable? How can you talk about, how can you cry, how can you be sad, how can you sob, etc., etc., etc. So there is so much of internal drama and volcano which is there inside. मैं ऐसा क्या करूं जिससे मुझे रिलीज भी मिले और मेरी आइडेंटिटी भी इंटैक्ट रहे. So that's where they, maybe if this is the study, I think this can be.
I mean, I don't know, but I thought that's my impression. How badly having an alcoholic parent affect the children?
It does affect, because having an alcoholic parent, which means that the access to the alcohol is very much there. In your house, you will have a nicely decorated cabinet, you know, with a lot of lights, and it's like, you have made it feel so normal.
Yes.
And you have glamorized that thing in your house. जहाँ पे ट्रॉफीज या ऐसा कुछ होना चाहिए, वहाँ पे आपने बॉटल्स रखी हैं और इतनी फैंसी. So and then, when you see your parent having a routine, so the child feels, wow, this is fancy. Even I want to do it. So I think it's the seed from where the tree grows. It impacts, because ultimately our environment has a big influence on our personality.
And I think eventually even the emotional unavailability.
Yes.
Because being an alcoholic, you would want to be under the impression of alcohol most of the times. And that means you're not available to deal with the needs and requirements of your children anymore, and which is again leading to bigger problems in the future. Yes. Totally. I think one of the biggest challenges, if someone is going through some mental health issues, biggest problem is they do not want to accept it. And if they do not want to accept it, it reflects on the partners and the family.
It does.
So how can the partner support, in this case, to help them recognize it and accept it and actually go for therapies or counseling?
Wonderful. I think the first thing that is very important, non-negotiable, is be an active and empathetic listener. Because a lot of time what happens is when a person is sharing something, the other person just negates it or just flushes it. That हो जाएगा ठीक, it's okay, मुझे भी ऐसा हुआ था, और थोड़ा सा ये कर लो, वो कर लो, हो जाएगा ठीक. So not ignoring it, but just giving an empathetic ear. Okay, what's happening? Let me know. So जब भी आप share कर रहे हो ना, sharing is like an emotional release. So a lot of release happens when you are sharing. And you also feel that, okay, this person really cares. So having an empathetic ear is important. Number 2 is having a productive discussion around it is also important. That, try, even if you are not a coach, you don't need to be a coach. You just have to be genuinely interested and empathetic in terms of what's happening to my partner or what she or he is going through. क्या हो रहा है, कब से हो रहा है, what exactly is happening, What can we do about it? So when you say that, what can we do about it? This word "we," Priyanka, is very magical.
Yeah.
When you say that, okay, so what can we do? So now it's a team.
Yeah.
Now she's not alone. Now he's not alone.
Yeah.
So even without saying that I'm there, you are saying that we are a team. So what can we do about it? Okay, let's go to an expert. Let's talk about this. Ho jayega. Don't worry. We'll just pass it through.
Yeah.
So I think as a partner, listening is important. Being emotionally available is important.
Yes.
And at the same time, getting into a genuine discussion around that, half of the problems will be solved.
Sometimes, it also becomes a behavior that the more sympathy and attention you get, person who's going through depression or anxiety, it becomes a pattern that they want more sympathy and more attention. And sometimes, I'm not sure if it is mistakenly understood that way or if it is real, that they are taken as somebody who's just seeking sympathy and attention.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is true in some cases. So, see, many times what happens is, it has a lot to do with childhood traumas also.
Yeah.
Because, as a child, if you have not got that kind of attention or that validation from your parents, from your siblings, from your friends, from your teachers, then you are ready to do anything and everything just that to get that attention.
Yeah.
So if you see that when you went through a problem, you had a broken leg or a hand, or you had some fever, and people were actually asking and inquiring about you. You had some WhatsApp messages, and people literally came to your house and, oh, kya ho raha hai? How are you right now? Kaise hua? You feel so happy.
True.
You feel so happy that I want more of this because this gives me validation, this gives me attention, and attention is something that we all thrive on, right? So this happens. But then this is where that individual has to identify the pattern.
Yes.
That why am I doing this? So yes, they get into this pattern. But see, the thing is, this is not a healthy way to get attention.
Yes.
This is not a healthy way to prosper your relationships. Right? This is just a band-aid, I would say.
How thin is the line between anxiety and depression?
I would say it's a progressive concept. And we cannot compare both these concepts because...
But does one lead to another?
It does. It does. So generally, when we talk about anxiety is wherein our mind, Priyanka, is constantly fighting the future. Okay? You're not thinking about the present. You're constantly thinking about the what if game. You're entangled in the what if game.
Yeah.
Aisa hua to, waisa hua to. What if I fail? What if I'm not selected in this interview? What if I lose my money? What if this business doesn't work? There's so much of debt and all that stuff. So you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is anxiety. And when you are in a chronic state of anxiety, it disturbs your immune system. Because the first hit is taken by our immune system. There's something called as homeostasis. Homeostasis is like, it's a function that our body has which keeps the involuntary functions running, like our breathing, our body temperature, and the heartbeat and all that stuff. How the glands should function, what neurotransmitter, which gland, kaun si matra mein usko. ये सारा जो autopilot पे run हो रहा है is taken care by the homeostasis. The first hit is taken by the immune system. The second hit is taken by the homeostasis. Whenever you are in a constant state of stress and anxiety. And this is where it then leads to psychosomatic problems. इसलिए कहते हैं ना, चिंता चिता समान है.
बिल्कुल.
तो चिंता हम कभी भी प्रेजेंट की नहीं करते. चिंता हम कभी भी पास्ट की, भूत की नहीं करते. चिंता हम हमेशा भविष्य की करते हैं. And future has not yet come. That means you are worried about an illusion.
Yes.
That's an illusion and you're worried about it. So in a way, if you see that, ask yourself this question, how can I be worried about something that is not yet present? Okay? That sounds stupid, but the mind is chained to it. So this is anxiety. When we talk about depression, Priyanka, depression is a space, it is a mental space wherein you are almost about to give up. Or you have given up. Okay. So for example, let's say a person, an entrepreneur who has put in all his money and tried a lot of things, but not able to recover and gone bankrupt.
Yes.
And after that, tried multiple other things, but nothing is working. That's where a point of time, he'll feel as if sare darwaze band ho gaye. And there is nothing I can do about it. The same is the case in toxic relationships also.
Yes.
I tried this also, I tried that also. Over a period of time, so an analogy would be, you had 5 doors and all the 5 doors are closed.
Yeah.
There is no way out. That is the peak of depression, wherein you just give up, when there is no aspiration left.
Yes.
You just say that abhi kuch nahi ho sakta.
That's really literally the last stage of
Literally, and
hitting the rock bottom.
it is, yes.
Yeah.
During COVID, a lot of people experienced depression. A lot of people experienced, so it all started with anxiety. But then in the peak of the COVID, when we had wave 2, wave 3, and all the discussions going on, a lot of depression cases came up.
Yeah. Somebody who's having deep, deep depression,
Yeah.
chronicle, and they have recognized it,
Yeah.
but there's no way they're able to come out of it.
Yeah.
What are the steps they can take to actually deal with it and eventually come? Is it possible to come out of it completely?
It is possible. The first thing I would say, if you have identified that you are into a chronic depression state, please go and see an expert. Because this is wherein you need a combination of medication and meditation. Okay. When I say meditation, I'm not just talking about you close your eyes and sit.
Yeah.
So meditation involves reflection, introspection, journaling, and a lot of other things. There are a lot of other modalities that can help you, but medication is also important when you go into the chronic states of depression. Number 2 is a very positive, thriving environment can pull you out of depression.
Okay.
Yeah, please don't isolate yourself, because your mind will want to isolate. That is what the state of depression is.
कुछ भी करने का मन नहीं
कुछ करने का. If you have friends, if you have family, they would say, चलो यार यहाँ पे जाके आते हैं, चलो यार बाहर एक drive करके आते हैं, कुछ नहीं ना एक drive. And you would say, नहीं यार, please leave me alone. This is depression. Okay?
Yeah.
But you need to do exactly opposite of it. If someone says that, चलो जाके आते हैं, चलो जाओ. Even if you have to push yourself out of the room, do it.
Yes.
In fact, many times it becomes difficult for the person who is going through it, and that's where the family needs to understand this. The family have to keep the environment positive. The family have to come up with different plans जहाँ पे हम उनको push करें out of the comfort zone, push करें. The third thing is physical activity.
Yes.
Because in depression, there are a lot of hormonal changes that happen. So when we talk about testosterone, one of the hormone, it goes down. And testosterone is something that keeps you moving. So depression may, you will have to push yourself into getting your body rhythm back.
Yes.
And how does that happen? Just walk, go out, go in the garden, go in the natural spaces, breathe some good air.
You have to constantly push through.
Constantly push yourself through that and keep moving.
Yeah.
Because movement will help you to come out of depression. And I think sleep is also important. Ultimately, sleep is magical. It will, help you revive.
Do anxious parents raise hyperactive or anxious children?
Yes, they do, because there are a lot of studies which have also proven this from a genetic perspective. Because especially Priyanka, when a woman is pregnant, during the pregnancy, if that particular person is going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of internal drama, she's actually passing it on to the baby.
I was reading about it yesterday only.
Yes. And this is the reason, there's this Garbh Sanskar karke ek pura ek program aata hai, jahan pe they teach you how to alter and tune your mental thoughts, what to feel, what to say, what kind of environment to build for yourself. Because ultimately, now it's not you, it's like 2 of you. You're taking care of the baby also. So it impacts the child. And not just that, even when the child is there with you, energy matters. Because the child is seeing you that you're always on the run. The child is seeing you that you're so very impulsive. You're so very hyperactive. You are multitasking. You're always running here and there. You're not at one place. So, even like we experience this on day-to-day basis. Like in someone's company, you feel so poised, you feel so calm, and you feel in that moment that, yeah, it's so nice. And someone's energy, you feel that, why is he so restless? Why is she so restless? You don't feel like spending more time with that person because energy speaks.
Bilkul.
And energy alters the other person's energy also.
Huh.
So this is the reason parents need to be more mindful.
Absolutely. If one of the parent is depressed, how does it reflect on children?
See, the thing is, if one of the parent is depressed, and if the other parent is able to balance the equilibrium, it can really help.
Which can take a very big toll on them, on
Yes.
the other parent.
Of course, it will
Yes.
take. Of course.
Yes.
But the thing is, this is where, there has to be mechanisms in place, and there has to be conscious effort that the other parent has to put in.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where, again, the self-care of that parent also comes into picture. You need, you cannot pour from an empty glass. So you need to fill yourself at regular intervals. What are you doing in terms of your mental health? It's like hygiene. It's like giving your car to the service center. Right? If you don't, for example, let's say you have two cars and one car is broken. Now all the load comes on the other car. Right? So बच्चों को भी उसी गाड़ी में छोड़ना है.
बिल्कुल.
फिर ऑफिस भी उसी में जाना है, मार्केट भी उसी में जाना है, इंटरसिटी ड्राइव भी उसी गाड़ी में करना है. So there's a lot of engine load that comes on the engine. Right? So if you don't, पहले अगर 6 महीने में देते थे आप सर्विसिंग के लिए, अभी 3 महीने में दे दो, क्योंकि रनिंग बढ़ गई है, उतना लोड बढ़ गया है.
Yeah.
So at regular intervals, if you keep on taking care of yourself, then it can be doable. But at the same time, the other parent needs to, pick up. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I think in today's time, the biggest challenge is कि parents physically available हैं, but emotionally unavailable हैं. How do you think that reflects on children? How does it affect them?
It affects them big time. Because, see, the thing is, especially today, if you look at Gen Z or if you look at today's children, they have comparatively not seen the struggle.
Yeah.
For them, everything is on the plate.
True.
Technology is there, computers, phones, softwares, and everything. Just at the click of a button or a prompt, you get everything, right? Khana order karna hai, click of a button, you get it. You have everything. Like they are blessed. Now, more than the physical need, they have emotional need.
Yes.
They need someone who can listen to them. They need validation.
Yeah.
They need someone who can sit with them, have an empathetic ear, talk, have a deep conversation. Because today, if you see, Priyanka, children, they talk like adults. Yes or no?
Yes.
इतनी बड़ी ज्ञान की बातें.
हाँ.
And sometimes parents are like, कहाँ से सीखा ये सब? क्यों? What is this? Where is this coming from?
Where it's coming from,
right?
yeah.
So when you are not emotionally available, that's where they feel that you don't care. They might not tell you this.
Yeah.
But this is this is how they process it. Okay, that my father is never available, my mother is never available.
Yeah.
They're always busy. Not available, busy means they don't care. This is how they process it.
Yeah.
And then they start finding out other sources or other people where they would like to connect and they would like to talk to. Now, we don't have much control on that.
Yeah.
Whom they are talking to, what is that connect like. And now it's going to get worse because now we are stepping into the age of AI. We have already. So now they are bots. There are bot friends with whom they can connect and talk.
Yes.
And that is even more damaging because the bot friend will curate every word and every sentence according to your child's need.
Yes.
And how is this dangerous? Because your child will never taste what rejection feels like. Because the bot is curating every word according to what she likes or he likes.
Yeah.
So the child would feel that, wow, she is my best friend. He is my best friend.
She understands me.
She understands me more than my parents.
Yeah.
Right? This is bound to happen.
Yeah.
So before the bots ruin, your child's mental health, it's important that parents need to take charge of it. Otherwise, there'll be a big guilt and regret later on.
Do you think the social media, the digital world, that in a way has affected us the most in the sense of our emotional availability?
It has. The thing is, when you compare the earlier years,
Yeah.
it was a different world altogether.
Yes.
Earlier, there were no phones, right? People used to chit-chat, people used to talk, they used to compliment, they used to bring a lot of topics in the discussion. Today, most of the people, they are like on the phone, right? When you look at celebrations, functions, you are not enjoying the function, but you are on the phone, you are capturing the function.
Yes.
When you go to a cricket ground, you're not enjoying the moment, you're capturing everything on the phone. So I think somewhere...
And you're never looking at it again.
You're never looking, exactly.
Most of
and then
the
you
times.
realize my memory is full.
Yeah.
And then you have more stress ki kaun sa delete karo aur kaun sa rehne do. Or you just upgrade to a different phone altogether. So we all have become hoarders. Not just physical hoarders, we have become mental hoarders as well. So I think social media being in our lives, it is doing more harm than good. It's a boon. Of course, social media is a boon. It's a blessing. But social media is like a knife, I would say.
Yeah.
If you know how to use a knife, you can do wonders. You can be a master chef.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to use a knife, you will end up hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So how it is impacting us emotionally, we use it as an escape door. Whenever you are emotionally not feeling good, there's stress, there's anxiety, you use social media just to distract yourself.
Yes.
थोड़े से कुछ reels देख लिए, that just gives you happiness. That gives you joy.
Yeah.
But that's not a deep-rooted joy or happiness. That's
No.
very superficial. You might smile, you might laugh, it might just distract you for a moment, but the deep down hurt is still there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That is not a solution.
it's not a solution.
Yeah. I think when we are so much exposed to the digital world, it has become more important than ever that children practice mindfulness.
Yes.
They keep their calm, they learn to be more stable, they learn to handle their emotions in a more effective way, in a more constructive way.
Yeah.
So how can parents help them to actually balance lives?
This is so true. I was having this conversation with one of my colleagues. We spoke about why is this not a part of the education system?
Yes.
Right? Priyanka, when you look back at our the earlier education system, we had Gurukul system.
Yeah.
Right? And the Gurukul system was wherein holistic development was focused on mental, emotional, financial, business, strategy. All this was taught by the Guru.
Yeah.
And how to take care of your internal self and how to win the world. These both dimensions were taught in the Gurukul system. But then the two major invasions that happened, that ruined our entire education system. The Mughal invasion that happened and then the British invasion that happened.
Yes.
And we lost that wisdom. We lost that wisdom. Today, if you see, all the education is only to make you job ready.
Yes.
If you do this, if you take this degree, you might get a good job. You'll get a placement, a campus placement. So this is what people are focusing on. And then what happens is, Priyanka, that when life hits you hard,
Yes.
you don't have a strategy for that. There was no curriculum which was there in my school. ये तो नहीं सिखाया था कि comparison जब हो रहा है तभी क्या करें,
बिल्कुल.
stress जब हो रहा है तब क्या करें, मुझे ये feel when I'm going through a heartbreak तभी मैं क्या करूं, वो तो मुझे नहीं सिखाया था स्कूल में. So I think mindfulness is the first step
Yes.
towards self-management and self-mastery. Why do I say that? Because mindfulness helps you to take a pause. It helps you to switch your focus from the external to the internal.
Yeah.
And mindfulness helps you with self-inquiry.
Yeah.
It helps you to ask yourself, why am I feeling this?
Understanding your feelings and emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
What are my controllables and non-controllables? And what can I do right now?
Yeah.
Without the pause, this is not possible. If I have to give you an analogy, Priyanka, when someone is driving a car on a highway, a national highway, let's say at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour, because the highway is such, it's a beautiful highway, you cannot stop yourself from driving so fast, the chances of accidents are high. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, let's say if you have multiple speed breakers on the same highway at regular intervals, the chances they come down,
yeah.
right? Why? Because with every speed breaker, you slow down.
Yeah.
So the speed breaker is like mindfulness. So it helps you to slow down.
Yeah.
Because today we are living in a speed culture.
Yes.
We want everything fast.
Yeah.
I want to be successful tomorrow. And especially with the social media successes that we see, children, they're losing patience.
Yes.
Exactly. And then we don't have the appetite for failure.
Yeah.
If you fail once, you just give up. So I think children, they need to learn to slow down.
Yes.
And I think parents should first slow down.
True.
As a parent, when you start walking your talk, we are talking about inspired leadership. We are not talking about autocratic leadership, or wherein as a parent, you don't have the right to tell your child, ye karna hai, wo karna hai, ye galat hai, wo sahi hai. Your child is smart enough to see ki if this is what is being said to me, are they following it?
Yes.
है ना?
Yes.
अगर मम्मी डैडी रात को इंस्टाग्राम स्क्रॉल कर रहे हैं, रात को टीवी देख रहे हैं और 1 बजे सोने जा रहे हैं और बच्चों को बोल रहे हैं कि 10:30 बजे सो जाना चाहिए, why do you think they will follow? If मम्मी डैडी बाहर जाके खा के आते हैं और बच्चों को बोलते हैं स्विगी से नहीं ऑर्डर करना, जोमेटो, वो क्यों मानेंगे? So, I think leadership is not just in corporate world. It starts from the house. So when your child sees you doing something what is being told to him or her, they'll be inspired.
If I as a parent can recognize that my child is having issues of, anxiety or some sort of hyperactivism and impatience, give me some simple tips that I can follow to help my child deal with it and improve.
The first thing is, as a parent, never make your child feel that there is something wrong with him or her.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a big dent.
Yes.
And today, if you see, a lot of parents, they keep on just complaining, they keep on just pointing at what's wrong. And then comparing.
Yes.
Look at him, look at her, ये तो ऐसा नहीं करती, वो तो ऐसा नहीं करता.
Yeah.
तुझे क्या problem है? Why can't you do that? Why can't you sit straight?
Yes.
So normalizing it is important.
Huh.
It's okay if you're feeling this, there has to be a reason. We'll find that reason, we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a parent, don't label it and don't let him or her feel that there's something wrong.
Yes.
Number 2, as a parent, educate yourself about that particular thing. If you don't educate yourself, you will end up being judgmental.
Yes.
You will end up, mislabeling it, which can be deteriorating for you as a parent. It will give you more stress and also for the child. So educate yourself that what is this? What is the possible reasons? Where is it coming from? Is it genetic? Is it social? Is it influential? Where is it coming from? Number 3 is connect with a specialist who can help you in terms of day-to-day involvement. आप क्या ठीक कर सकते हो? Right? For example, let's say if you find a child who is, has, let's say, ADHD for that matter.
Yes.
Okay, and today OCD and ADHD are rising high. If you see children, they are very restless.
Yes.
So start with certain mindfulness techniques. Start with certain games wherein they have to slow down. Switch from digital games to physical games.
Yes.
Because digital games are not going to help. It is stimulating.
Yeah.
Because the screens, the colors, the speed, the instant reward mechanism, that just ruins your brain to the next level. Instead, you say that, chalo aaj carom khelte hain.
Yes.
Okay? Chalo aaj cricket khelte hain. Chalo aaj badminton khelte hain.
Yes.
Or snake and ladders khelte hain.
Yeah.
Go back in the era wherein, we were slow.
And children love that.
Children love that.
Yeah.
Put their body into action.
Yes.
Because their minds
especially if the parents are involved.
Exactly.
There's nothing more joyful for them.
Exactly. Take them for swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming is wherein they're completely involved.
Yeah.
Right? So, this is how you can help them slow down, teach them some basic breathing techniques with fun. They should not feel that it's a homework, but with fun. Like, you tell them that with every inhale, you count 1. With every exhale, you count 2. Or you can tell them, with every inhale, tell me what is your favorite fruit. With every exhale, tell them what is your favorite flower.
Yeah.
Or just tell them.
Turn it into a game.
Turn it into a game.
My kids just simply love doing yoga.
Lovely.
And because they then kind of compete with each other that I can do this pose better than you.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can do this. So that becomes like really exciting for them.
Exactly.
And other thing I have noticed, like my younger one, being a boy, he's very active, and it's also, I think, very genetic. He's very sporty. But the moment I see that he's feeling a little restless or something, I would just simply say, let's make a puzzle.
Yeah.
Or let's build Lego.
Yeah.
Those are his favorite things to do, which is such a contrast, like from being very active and sporty to actually sitting with me for an hour
And more focus.
building Legos. And he loves that.
Wonderful.
And that is my favorite time as well. Now it has become my hobby as well, building Legos. It's so calming.
It is.
It is really peaceful to do something like that together. And even for parents, I think it's really nice.
It is. See, this is the reason, Priyanka, I would tell all the parents that first understand why is this happening. In case there's some restlessness that you see, impulsivity that you see in your child, try to understand where is this coming from and try to see the patterns also.
Yes.
ये हमेशा होता है, कभी-कभी होता है, किसी condition में होता है, किसी particular time पे होता है. And then educate yourself.
Yes.
When you understand the patterns, when you observe the patterns, when you know why is this happening, then you can build a strategy around it.
Yeah. There's another thing where they say that आप किस तरह के parent बनेंगे, that pretty much depends on कि आपका childhood कैसा था.
Yes.
और एक और चीज है which is childhood trauma,
Yes.
which they think always resurfaces, comes back. How do you think something like that from your childhood is actually reflecting on your children and can actually affect their upbringing?
See, the first thing is, Priyanka, I would say that childhood trauma, if you identify such traumas, you need to first get rid of it. You need to heal it.
Yes.
Right? And that would take time. It's not an overnight process. Because childhood traumas can come in multiple shapes, sizes, and forms. It can be the fear-based trauma that you have. It can be rejection-based trauma that you have. It can be self-doubt-based childhood traumas that you have. So healing yourself is the first step. Wherein, number one, you try to identify where did this come from? Where did this start? What exactly happened with me, etc., etc.
Yes.
So again, self-inquiry. If you want, take a help of someone who can actually guide you through the inquiry process. Because when you get an objective perspective, you are able to, understand, okay, this was the tipping point, or this was wherein the downfall started. This was wherein I started doubting my own self, etc., etc. When you are able to identify the source, when you are able to validate the source, and then when you start taking some actions around it, you will build confidence. Okay?
Yes.
So healing yourself is very important. Once you are on the healing path, then it will not impact your child. But if you are unaware of the trauma, if you are unaware of your unconscious behaviors in the presence of the child, then they will pick up.
Yes.
So if you are fearful of little things, it just freaks you out. There is nothing to freak out, but you just get anxiety. Your child will get influenced by that.
Yes.
Even your child will become restless. Even your child will be fearful of little things. So this is what you are passing on.
Can young children fall into depression?
There can be some kind of symptoms, but there can be a decline over a period of time. So when you look at a young child, you might see that they are not more involved in terms, they are not playing, they are not active. That will impact their energy. That will impact their communication.
Yes.
They will not mingle around. They'll try to, be lonely. They'll try to isolate themselves. You will see some kind of signs and symptoms, but it's important as a parent to pull them out at that point of time. Otherwise, that acute can turn into chronic. Because ultimately, we are dealing with the mind.
And it could be the start of it.
It could be the start of it. Yes. But I would also like to add this, that as a child, for you to come out of it is way easier compared to as an adult.
True.
It will be very difficult.
So as a parent, if you're able to raise a mindful child, how does it affect their future? And how does it really make them to be a more content and a happy youth?
It would impact them big time. Because raising a mindful child is more like making them self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Then there is no dhakka start,
Huh.
you know. So a mindful child over a period of time will become a mindful adult, a more conscious adult, I would say.
Yeah.
In a simple way, what does that mean? This person is more aware of the internal world compared to like the external world. Of course, there's a lot of understanding, but internal world, like what is driving me? What are my triggers? What makes me uncomfortable? What are my motivators? What are my value systems? Okay. What are the patterns which are not helping me to move towards my goals?
Yeah.
What are the patterns that are actually helping me to achieve my goals? So when this internal awareness is there, then there is less struggle. When there is no internal awareness, there is more struggle.
Yeah.
Because then you are hitting your head on the wall. ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? ये मुझसे क्यों नहीं? Why am I not able to handle this? But when you know your strengths, your weaknesses, when you know your natural inclinations, when you know your value systems, then you can solve the problem for yourself. Today, why a lot of people are struggling because they don't know how they are functioning. It is like, your phone. If someone is digitally smart, technically smart, knows how to operate the phone.
Yes.
अगर कुछ stuck हो गया कहीं पे, and the person knows the knowledge, वो कर लेगा कुछ भी करके.
Yeah.
कि हाँ ठीक है, now it is working. But let's say if a person is technically challenged, that person will get frustrated. ये क्यों काम नहीं कर रहा है? Why am I not able to send the mail? Why am I not getting the message?
They just don't know how to deal with it.
They just don't know how to deal with that piece of technology.
Yeah.
Right? So when you are aware of the technology, you can master it. You can deal with it. If you're not aware of it, you just feel helpless.
Yes.
So if you're raising a mindful child, you are giving the manual, the technology manual to the child.
Yes.
And now the child doesn't have to feel helpless. The child will just open the manual and see how to fix it. So that's how the child will be more conscious, assertive,
True.
and confident.
There's another such condition, which is the narcissist behavior.
Oh yeah.
Does it have any connection with depression?
Depression to the narcissist or the one who is experiencing the narcissism?
The narcissist. Because they tend to always put it on other people, right?
Yeah.
And they'll always find excuses of blaming others of their own actions and reflecting it on other people and very beautifully coming out of that situation, coming clean and acting like nothing has happened.
So, Priyanka, when we talk about narcissists are not happy from within. They are sad. And they know that they are sad.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a play, a facade that they have.
Yeah.
The best way to identify a narcissist is just look at their behaviors, just look at their tonality, just look at the way they treat others. Because for them, they are at the center stage. The stage lights are on them, and they are the hero of the movie. For them, the rules are different. For the other person, the rules are different. They are chronic manipulators, I would say.
Yeah.
Like a chameleon. They keep on changing colors.
Yeah.
They have no guilt. They have no shame. They have no regret. Despite of they doing all the worst things in their life, they feel it's normal.
Yes.
So there is a distinct change in the structure of their brain, how their brain functions, and how they connect with the world. It's completely different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of studies, Priyanka, which says that you cannot reverse a narcissistic brain.
Okay.
Yes, there are studies.
Even with counseling and therapies?
Even with counseling. And in fact, they will end up counseling the counselor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So the therapist might feel that he is normal. There is no problem with him. They would say that
they know how to play the game.
Exactly. They know how to play the game. And the counselor, the therapist would feel that I was able to take a good session. But no, it was the other way around.
How do you classify somebody as being a narcissist?
Observing their traits. observing their behaviors. And if you stay with such a person, it will be very easy for you to identify the patterns. There's constant manipulation. There's an emotional manipulation that happens. You might fall prey to that emotional manipulation. You might have empathy for that person. You might have sympathy, but the next day you will just get to know that was another story.
Yes.
So lie, manipulation, stories, no regret, no guilt, different rules, no shame. And in fact, there was a study which also concluded that most of the narcissists are sociopaths as well, because they don't have that emotional connection for people.
But they make you feel like they do.
They make you feel. Because
they make you feel like the most pampered person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You might feel that he cares so much, she cares so much.
Yeah.
She has so much of feelings for me. But that is just like a facade.
Yeah. What leads to this? How can somebody become somebody like that?
There are multiple reasons to this, multiple causes. What research says is that mainly it is genetic. It passes through the genes. But the second most common reason is the conditioning, the childhood traumas, the upbringing, and the childhood conditions that they have been through.
Yeah.
The life conditions and failures and what has worked for them. Because, see, the thing is, Priyanka, the brain behaves in such a way, if certain things have worked for you, that becomes your approach for the life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So abusing someone gets your work done. So then your strategy to get the work done is to abuse someone. Okay. So this becomes your tried and tested method. But most of the times it is said that it's genetic. And you can see the narcissistic traits in the child. You can see it from that point of time. And if the traits are there for like few years, you cannot reverse it.
What can parents do in this case if they recognize it?
They have to work around it. They have to be vocal at times. They have to let the child know that this is not right and this is not okay. They have to confront. They have to be honest.
Yeah.
I think as a parent, the best thing that you can do for your child, if the child is narcissist, is to confront.
Yeah.
Not play the game with them.
Yeah.
Because this is what parents end up doing.
Yeah.
क्योंकि मेरा ही खून है,
Yeah.
वो गलत थोड़ी कर सकता है. ये तो मेरा बच्चा है.
True.
वो थोड़ी गलत कर सकता है. But if you know this, then don't turn a blind eye towards that.
True.
You have to be neutral.
Yeah. So I think in a way, early detection and early intervention
Yes,
is the only way to reverse narcissism.
I won't use the word reverse.
Okay.
But I would say maybe control or maybe, regulate till some extent or level.
Yeah. So if somebody is living with a narcissist partner, how can they actually deal with it? And what would be your advice to them that they go through this relationship?
Number one, never encourage the behavior.
Okay.
Have your clear boundaries marked. Be vocal about it. Be assertive in your approach.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have your self-care and routines very tightly fixed. Do not put yourself on a back burner.
Yeah.
Never say that she is important, her routine is more important, his routine is more important, his life is more important, and mine is not.
Because
Self-care.
they'll make you feel that.
They will
way.
make you feel that.
Yeah.
Yes. So self-care is very important. Boundaries are very important. Being vocal is important. And being there for yourself is important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will end up falling prey to it.
Yeah.
And you will not even know.
True. How difficult it is to raise children with a narcissist partner?
Very difficult. It is very difficult because then the manipulation doesn't stay just till you. It also goes to the children.
Yes.
Because a narcissistic parent might have two different stories. One for you, one for the child.
Yes.
And then they can also turn the children against you. You know, they would say that daddy ne aisa bola tha, mummy ne aisa bola tha, and the child is confused.
Yeah.
That baby has no understanding of what narcissism is.
Yeah, indeed.
For the child, the parents are like the superheroes.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever the father has to say, whatever the mother has to say is the right thing. But now if there's a conditioning that starts in their minds against you, against the other parent, it might go crazy.
True.
So it's very difficult. Then you end up losing your sanity.
Indeed. And there's this constant pampering and constant breaking the rules and parenting rules, and just to look good in the books of people around you.
Yes.
And which is very risky and scary.
And you have no idea what to do because because you are able to see that this is impacting not just my life, it is impacting my children's life also. And this person doesn't even care. Usko to pata bhi nahi kya ho raha hai.
No.
Right? Because for that person, you know, I'll not be able to get into the details, but when I talk to some of my clients, and especially the ones, who are in the mainframe, for them, of course, the public image is a big thing. Right? So what happens behind the doors, no one knows. So there's a different story going on. Then there's another story which is in the media. It becomes very difficult. For a normal person, it is difficult.
True.
Because this person cannot be honest, cannot share this with anyone. So it is like you seeing the drama alone and then just getting injured because of that.
So if you're living with a narcissist, how can it affect your own mental health and well-being in a longer run?
It can be deteriorating, Priyanka, I would say that.
Yeah.
Why? Because over a period of time, you will start doubting yourself.
Yes.
Right? You will feel, number one, you will feel that the other person is normal and something is wrong in you. Yeah. Because a narcissist will have stories for everything. They have an amazing convincing power. They will convince you that they are right and you are wrong. They will also give you evidences. They are very good with crafting a story. Okay? And if you are someone who doesn't have a good bounce back or getting back ability, you will be swamped completely. Because now you don't know what to say. Now you don't know how to react to this, how to respond to this. And then somewhere you will start having this conversation with yourself. Haan, baat to sahi hai.
They'll completely consume you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So over a period of time, you will lose your self-confidence.
Yes.
You will start losing your self-worth. And you will also lose your self-esteem.
Yeah.
So it's like वो जो कहता है ना एक फूल मुरझा जाता है तो वैसा हो जाएगा. So this is the reason, number one, identifying the traits, identifying the patterns, building boundaries, being assertive, being vocal about it, and taking stand is important. जितना जल्दी करोगे उतना अच्छा है.
Are there any books, tools, or rituals that you would recommend parents can start with if they want to start their journey of mindfulness?
Of course, like as a parent, first of all, I would say that be an inspired leader. Be an inspiring leader for your children.
Yes.
And walk your talk. Because you cannot be a dual parent, saying something and doing something else. Number one, I would say that at regular intervals, let's say after every 2 to 3 hours, just take a pause and just practice what I call as 5:8 breathing.
Yes.
5:8 breathing is when you inhale for the count of 5 from your nose and exhale from your mouth for the count of 8. So this is one of the best practices to anchor yourself in the moment.
Yes.
This will give you a lot of mental clarity. It will help you with your sleep as well. And it improves your short-term memory also. And when you are in the right frame of mind, because see, the thing is, we are dealing with a lot of things.
True.
The time you get up in the morning till the time you go to sleep, it's like all the nonsense is coming from all the ways, right? So you are constantly hitting, you're constantly trying to save yourself. So those pauses are very important. After every 2 to 3 hours, if you just pause yourself, that will give you more clarity. And that will also help you to deal and cope up with things in a better way. It can be your child. Maybe your child gets cranky sometimes. But there are some demands that come up. So instead of you reacting, you will end up responding if you are in a calmer state.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the practices. And number 2, the second practice would be, I would say, have a night ritual. True. A night ritual is when, just before going to sleep, have a paper and a pen. And, I tell my community members to practice this. It's called as JGPT.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason I named it as GPT because it's easy to remember because GPT is all over the place. So JGPT stands for Journaling GPT.
Okay.
So G stands for gratitude.
Yeah.
P stands for progress and T stands for tasks. Okay. So before going to bed, have 10 minutes parked.
Yes.
Take a journal and just write down what you are grateful for. On that day, what you are grateful for. आज ऐसा क्या किया, क्या हुआ, मैं बहुत ही शुक्रगुजार हूँ. I'm grateful for that particular thing. It can be person, it can be a thing, or it can be a process, anything that you're grateful for. Number 2, then you come to progress.
Yes.
The progress that I made today. It's very important for you to be your own cheerleader.
True.
Okay. So write down, I was able to do this, I was able to achieve this, I was able to knock off so many tasks on my list and stuff like that. I was able to stay more calmer, etc., etc. And then comes T. T stands for tasks.
Yeah.
So the next day, what tasks I have to finish in order to be more productive. So the more clear you are, your execution would be that smoother.
True.
So when you do your JGPT before going to bed, that will put you in a very calmer state.
Yeah.
I say that don't allow or don't let your day define your night. When your day was crazy, your night should not be restless because of that.
True.
So
Absolutely
JGPT can help you to ground. Yeah.
So beautifully put together. So important as well.
Yeah.
Alok, thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's a very much needed conversation, things we do not usually really talk about. I'm so glad that we spoke about so many important things. But it doesn't stop here. We have a community Q&A segment where we have a question from one of our listeners.
Yeah.
And today we have a question from Shreya. She says, I'm a mom of a 4-year-old. I try to be as calm and mindful as possible. But honestly, there are days when I just lose it. Later, I feel super guilty. How do I stop carrying that guilt into the next day? And how can I teach my child that even parents make mistakes?
Wonderful. So Shreya, first of all, I'd like to tell Shreya that it's okay to fail. It's completely fine to fail because we are human beings. We are not perfect.
Yeah.
No matter how well you have rehearsed a particular art, there are good days, there are bad days.
Yes.
What you can do about it is you learn. You learn in terms of where did you miss the step? What exactly happened? And why did you end up reacting or responding in the way you did that you are guilty or you have regret about? And then build a strategy around it. कि next time अगर ऐसा हुआ तो मुझे क्या करना है?
Yes.
So then what will happen is the next time that happens, you know what to do. Because guilt, Shreya, and guilt, Priyanka, is one of the most heavy emotions. Guilt can break you down.
Yes.
And there's a lot of research around guilt that a lot of psychosomatic diseases happen because of guilt.
Yeah.
And especially in India, if you see, a lot of women, they carry a lot of guilt. Guilt of not being a good mother, guilt of not being a good parent or a wife or a daughter-in-law.
Or prioritizing yourself.
Exactly. So the only way I would say to process guilt is to, number 1, accept it, acknowledge it.
Yes.
Don't be so hard on yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes, but just make sure that you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Give yourself some breathing space, learn from it, and the next time, do it right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's a platform and opportunity to learn from your mistakes and not fall for the trap again. Well, thank you so much for that answer. Alok, we are moving on to the next segment. We call it Fun Segment.
Yeah.
So today we call this round This or That Mindful Parent Edition.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 options, but relatable to parenting or mindfulness.
Yeah.
And you have to choose one instantly.
Sure.
No overthinking, no justifying, just go with your gut. Yeah? Deep breathing or journaling?
Deep breathing.
Okay. Digital detox or nature walk?
Nature walk.
Naturally, you're detoxing then from digital world. Guided meditation or silent seating?
To begin with, guided. Later on, you can go to silent.
Saying I'm sorry or giving a hug?
Saying sorry.
First things first. Screaming into a pillow or walking away?
Walking away.
Yeah. Morning mindfulness or bedtime reflections?
It depends. We all are different.
Yeah. 5 minutes of alone time or 5 minutes of laughter with your child?
5 minutes of laughter with your child.
Absolutely. Ignoring a tantrum or engaging calmly?
Engaging calmly.
One mindful meal or one mindful conversation?
One mindful meal.
And have a conversation over that. Meditation app or just closing your eyes?
To begin with, meditation app. Then later on, you
helps.
can. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alok. This was such a conversation which can sometimes be difficult, but so much needed. And on Maatehood, we're all about parenting, but I also feel parenting का एक बहुत essential part होता है family dynamic and the relationship of parents.
Yeah.
We often ignore, but it can harm children in a longer run.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that we spoke about relationships, difficult relationships, dealing with the emotions, the habits, the addictions, and everything around that. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Priyanka. I'm glad that you have this platform called Maatehood, where there are a lot of conversations around parenting, children going on. And I think this is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
Because, there's this saying that catch them young, right? So that conditioning starts from that first step.
Absolutely.
But this journey is not just about children. It's more about the parents.
Absolutely.
Because that's where the download happens.
So true. Yeah. So true.
So thank you very much for doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thank you.